Hello, everyone. Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Thank you for tuning in. Everyone that's here, hey, if you in the live chat on YouTube, smash that thumbs up button. I truly appreciate it. As always, salute to the supporters. Drop your comments below. This is going to be an interesting three-part topic, of course. I'm definitely going to start off with Mike Tyson. Shout out to King in the building, King 369. He's saying praise Eminem and Fury, but disrespect Wilder for what? I hear you, man. I hear you. Wouldn't get right on to it. You know, if you read my title, my description or whatever, you know, Mike Tyson, he's been saying some crazy things, right? And I'm not gonna do a leading question like why can't black fighters support black fighters and black media, all this other stuff that we always ask questions for with no answers, right? But Mike Tyson, one of the premier fighters of our history, y'all, he said give him 6 weeks and he'll stop Deontay Wilder in under a minute. In a minute. Let me repeat that. We're talking about Mike Tyson, 50-6, who basically was stopped by Lennox Lewis in 8 rounds, right? And then stepped in there with Danny Williams, stopped him in 4. Kevin McBride stopped him in 6. So I'm saying to myself, your last 2 fights, you were stopped. But yet somehow, some way, you're not happy enough with your marijuana dispensary. We all know you have a podcast where you do hot boxes, and I tune into it. I like it. You know what I'm saying? But I just have an issue with why you have so much disdain for Deontay Wilder. Is it because that Deontay Wilder, you know, one of the heavyweights, premier heavyweights of this era, right? You out the business. You're done. But Deontay Wilder said that he'll knock you out. He'll defeat you. You upset about that? Did you not start? Have you ever supported Deontay Wilder? I'm not sure where Mike Tyson is bringing all this energy from. Bro, you had your career, man. You was a killer. Mike Tyson was an absolute beast to watch, man. But for you to sit up here and want to criticize Deontay Wilder and saying a person who's smoking, and I commend you for having a second gig, marijuana dispensary, since they legalize it in certain areas, right? I commend you for that because your name is sell. Your brand is going to always sell. But why are you coming at the Bronze Bomber, though, man? You know damn well you cannot train for 6 weeks and say you're going to come in here and knock him out in a minute. Come on, man. And you know what? I like to see the fight. I mean, just to see you back in the ring. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, you would stop your last 2 fights. So you coming in here saying, you know what? I have a new profound directive in life. I have a new target. I want to go over here and try to knock out the Bronze Bomber in a minute. My suggestion to you, since you have a very successful marijuana dispensary and you're doing very well, my friend, I would say that you stay out this business, man, and just chill, because you need to be around to see the fruits of your labor bud. You know what I'm saying? You want to see the fruits of your labor bud real nicely so you can have that product for your hot box. You know what I'm saying? It's very important that you understand that, because if you go in here and get touched up by the heaviest puncher in the game right now, you may have to have somebody walk in there for you. And you know what happened when you have other people in there you don't trust? They're smoking your shit up, driving up in a new ride, and you really can't remember, you know, how much money you was bringing in, because you decided to take one more fight, train for 6 weeks, and go in here and get touched up by the Bronze Bomber. Man, come on, man. Just chill. Just relax. Just enjoy your retirement. I know what you said on your hot box, that you feel like a bitch because you're not that killer no more. You're not a bitch, man. You're still a killer. You're still the man. Everything that you know you to be. But You just need to chill. You need to let Deontay Wilder have his fame and everything else. Just like King 369 said, you praising Eminem and Fury, but you can't praise Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder, let's get it straight. Deontay Wilder defended his belts. As we all know, and it's been repeated several times over, Tyson Fury left the sport for PED usage. He left the sport for drugs. He was stripped of his titles. So once again, you kind of relating to boxers who've gotten in trouble, who's fallen off the wagon, so to speak, who has different type of paper attached to their name that really wasn't representing boxing. I know boxing doesn't have this thing with role models and everything else, but let's be clear. Tyson Fury is full of controversy. And the best thing that was going on for him is him stepping in there February 22nd and getting the job done. That's it. Besides that, he came back to the sport with a fake-ass mental illness title, with a damn good PR team, enough for the fight fans to freaking buy into it. And everybody ran with it. You know what I'm saying? But you need to stay your ass down in the marijuana dispensary, relax, do your Hot Box podcast, continue to have, top name celebrities on there because you earned it. You know what I'm saying? But never forget to take a look at BoxRec there, Mike Tyson. Never forget to go on YouTube and look at your freaking fights. Never forget that at one point in time in your career, you went through adversity too. You talk shit about some people. You talking about eating people kids, right? I mean, come on, man. Come on, Tyson. You was the tyrant of all tyrants back then, bro. How can you be mad if another fighter that's at the top of the heap is saying they will have knocked you out or they will have defeated you when you was active? Man, what's up with all these damn boxers? That's had their time and they acting extremely sensitive, bro. Like, come on, man. You can't praise Fury, who has never defended a title. I don't want to hear that ring. I don't want to hear that. The lineal. I want to talk about those super titles. He haven't defended the title yet. Nothing. He still has to go back in there and keep that WBC title. So guess what? Just chill, relax, and everything else, man. What's going on, foul player in the building? Salute to you. Thanks for dropping in, man. Appreciate that. But King 369, I have to agree. I have to concur with that. You sat there and have Eminem who look at you and say, "Oh, I seen you as a god." Listen, somebody can say that. Anybody can say that to another human being. I saw you as a god. That doesn't mean the God up top. That means a god. We all gods in our own right. We can be a king. It depends on who you are. You know what I'm saying? Just because somebody called another man say, I looked at you as a god. More so, potentially, he might have looked at Tyson as a god. A lot of people look at celebrities and prominent people in society as gods. It's certain hip hop artists may look at Eminem as a god due to his wordplay, due to him being somewhat of a thespian. You know what I'm saying? They might do that. Trader, what's good? Salute to you. Thanks for dropping in, man. Thanks for dropping in. But, that's what I wanted to touch on with Mike Tyson, man. Come on. Fall back, bro. You got a damn good dispensary going in. From what I hear, you're making $500K a month. I put the picture up there. It looks nice and green. I mean, I damn near try to cut a part of that damn thumbnail out and see can I roll me one. But I don't smoke. You know what I'm saying? But that shit looked awful fresh. It looked real fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like produce, the way produce used to look before COVID-19 took over. It looked nice and fresh. So keep on doing you and stay away from somebody who might change your life for the worse. Because regardless of Deontay Wilder losing to Tyson Fury, I know you have an attachment to that. You have an attachment to Tyson Fury because he said his dad named him after you. So of course you're gonna attach to the man. But what about what he did out of the ring? You can't come at Deontay Wilder just for verbal sparring, but yet you're not gonna hold Tyson Fury accountable for what he did outside the motherfucking ring, dog. You an OG in the game, man. Come on, bro. Like people used to fear you just from wearing a towel with a hole cut out. People feared you on the street, bro. So if you're gonna do a podcast saying, sometimes you feel like a bitch because you're not that guy no more. Understand your own words. If you say you're not that guy no more, man, chill, relax. It's all good. You was a king at one point in time. You was a tyrant at what you do. You was belligerent with your hands. You was considered one of the best boxers in history. But your last 4 fights, you was 1-4. You had 3 knockouts in your last 4 fights. Lennox Lewis stopped you, Danny Williams stopped you, and Kevin McBride stopped you. I mean, bruh, it's no time to be trying to come back to the ring. We done seen fighters come back to the ring and it didn't work out to them. And I have mad respect for them. But you need to understand where you at in your life. Relax and don't make a mockery of yourself because this boxing ain't no play. We seeing people going to the hospital and you want to come up here and deal with one of the hardest punches, the hardest puncher in boxing today. I don't think it's a good idea, homeboy. Miguel Sanchez, what's good? Salute. Everybody in the chat, salute to you. Moving on. Errol Spence has this new opponent. His last name Lee, right? Supposedly, him and Danny Garcia is off. Because they can talk all that shit and build up media hype. But when it comes down to it, his team, from what I'm hearing, and some people wavered on better judgment and say, you know what, Errol, it'll be better for you to come back and take a soft touch, right? This guy trains at TMT. Supposedly he's been a sparring partner of Floyd Mayweather and everything else. So he gets on live today. He gets and do a video and he's saying, yo, Errol, I'm gonna give you what you want. And he calls Errol Spence of all people a bitch ass nigga, right? He said, you bitch ass nigga. And no, I'm gonna keep it Christian. Right there, this dude is confused. He calls Errol Spence a bitch ass nigga, right? But then turn around and say, you know what? I'm gonna keep it Christian. Y'all. How can you turn around, double back so quickly, and call Errol Spence of all people a bitch ass nigga? When have Errol Spence been that? When have you seen Errol Spence come close? We nowhere close. I'll take that back. I've been repeating it so much. I was about to say we nowhere close this coming out this COVID-19, but we are, but not for combat sports. Okay, so this dude comes out, fire shots, right? It's too early, and he called Errol Spence what it is. And I guess Errol Spence is taking a super soft touch because this dude ain't ranked in the top 15. This dude is not ranked in the top 15. Just because he trained with TMT and he's been a training partner with Floyd Mayweather, it doesn't mean nothing. But he's saying he's going to give Errol Spence what he wants. He's going to give Errol Spence what he wants, dog. Now, I understand the bravado. I understand coming up out of here, making a name for yourself, because I'm up here talking about you. I'm not going to say his first name because him just doubling back the way he did, it makes no sense to me. You know what I'm saying? You're going to call Errol Spence a unified champion who has absolutely no bitch in him whatsoever. For you to come out and fire shots and call that man that, it kind of made you look like that. You know what I'm saying? It kind of put you in that circle. Like, what is this dude trying to do? He's acting goofy right now. You know what I'm saying? Josh Talks UFC, man. Salute to you. Perkins say, okay, y'all talking about the UFC. I'm gonna get to that though, because as I put in there, the UFC has been crushed. You know what I'm saying? The UFC has been crushed, y'all. He did give an update. He did give an update. That shit has been canked. They have put a stop to that, and it's about to get good. That's my next topic after this, but I really want to talk about Errol Spence's next opponent, and I will definitely get into the UFC. If you're gonna get the opportunity, if you're going to get the opportunity to face Errol Spence, right, and no one knows who you are outside of the gym, it would behoove you to just come on just a little bit better. If you're gonna talk your shit, you talk it raw, you keep it unfiltered. You let the fight fans know this who you are, man. You going in guns blazing, and you don't want nobody to show you no mercy. Not even Errol Spence. You want to be that guy. But don't call the man a bitch ass nigga and then say, you know what? I'm gonna keep it Christian. I'm gonna keep it Christian. You can't double back that quick and have boxing fans respect you for just calling this man what you did. Because you know damn well he don't have no bitch in him. You know better than that, dog. It's just certain people. Seriously, it's just certain people you shouldn't call that, especially in the hurt business, especially in combat sports, bro. Especially if the fight fans don't know who the hell you are. You should never came out and fire shots because you sound crazy, and then people gonna look at Errol Spence like, damn, Errol. Like, why would you choose this dude? Like, seriously, he's a southpaw. He has pretty decent boxing skills, though. I'm not gonna lie, he has pretty decent boxing skills. But he's walking in there with the guy that's a unified champion. I know he's coming off a car accident. I know he's in the recovery process. He's been in the gym training. The man, I know he's been popping pictures out every now and then. But for this dude to be unknown, and to somehow selectively get chosen out of the bucket, because he ain't in the top 15, out of the bucket. He remind me of Carlos Ocampo. Carlos Ocampo, right? When Errol Spence fought him, I drove 12 hours up there to Texas, only for Errol Spence to stop this dude in one round. Who was Ocampo again? Before Errol Spence faced him, no one really knew this dude, but he became the mandatory. And Errol Spence fought him in his backyard. So therefore, this dude has the opportunity to be in the same position. But really, he's even further off the damn radar than Ocampo was. The only claim is he's in, he was in TMT gym. He has Floyd Mayweather's name attached to him. You know what I'm saying? So y'all check out the video out there. I would screen share it, but it's somebody else's vid. I'll probably put it up on my YouTube channel and let y'all check it out. But I hit him up. I try to get the guy on here. I really want to talk to him and kind of see how this fight even materialized. I really want to see how in the hell did this fight, how did you get selected to fight Errol Spence? He's an undefeated fighter, I believe. I really didn't take two. I just took a glance at his record. But he's nowhere close to Errol Spence boxing prowess. Nowhere even close, y'all. And you need to understand that. Sir Ken, what is good with you? Thanks for dropping in. Salute to the wrenches and salute to the chat. Smash the like button. Salute to you, Daniel Bruce. Salute to you. Thanks for dropping in, Eric. What's good, man? Salute. Let his hands do the talking. But these YouTube thugs, internet gangsters use the platform to promote themselves. I totally agree, man. Eric say that dude talking shit, but Spence is too much for him. He's absolutely too much. This dude, being that we in a pandemic shutdown and everybody's pretty much focused and zoomed in to damn near everything that's floating across the net. It would have been good for him just to lie back and chill, pop up every now and then, with some training vids. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing with sparring, like just some training vids. And then, let other people talk him up. Let other people build up his name a little bit. And then it would have been out that, hey, this is the next guy for Errol Spence, not Danny Garcia. This is the next guy. I would have appreciated a lot more than him coming out calling Errol Spence a bitch ass nigga, right? And then turn around and say, you know what? I'm gonna keep it Christian. Christian out the window, man. If you don't know by now, you don't think certain pastors cuss, vulgarity, scatology, obscenity. You think pastors behind the scene, if they got to deal with certain things, they ain't cussing somebody out? Yes, it happens. So, dude, it just looked extremely goofy for you to get the opportunity to call Spence something that's very disrespectful when it comes to any man, really. Especially at the elite level as Errol Spence. And for you to double back so quickly, you should have just kept it that way. Kept it freaking boiling on the stove, man. Kept it cooking. Let it cook. Don't turn around and say, I'm going to keep it Christian. Just let it cook. Let that shit cook. Let Errol Spence respond to you. You should have kept that shit on the stove, let it cook, and then let Errol Spence, if he chose to, respond to you. Because if Errol Spence would have responded to that, then you would have elevated your name into this media light the way it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? It would have lit up the way it's supposed to. But now people looking at you like, man, this dude, man, where's this dude talking about? Because you know damn well Errol Spence is not a bitch. UFC. I appreciate my UFC fans that's in the building. Let me see if that's all I need to talk about for the boxing side of the house before I cross over to the Ultimate Fighting Championship MMA. Yes, there's one more I want to talk about. I want to read you Devin Haney's text. Devin Haney put out a text on Twitter. He put out a tweet. He said, I just had a very positive conversation with Mauricio Suleiman, president of the WBC, and confirmed to him directly my commitment to be a role model and my absolute rejection of discrimination of any kind. Once again, I repeat, confirmed to him directly my commitment to be a role model and my absolute rejection of discrimination of any kind. Listen to me. Listen to me, people. When you say you ain't gonna lose to a white boy and you'll defeat him 10 out of 10, that's discrimination, period. You have to understand discrimination isn't racism. Discrimination, you can have that for anything in life. You can not want to be around certain people. You know what I'm saying? By the way they act, the look, or whatever the case. Prejudice is the same way. You might be prejudiced for something. That don't mean you're racist. That don't mean you correlate everybody into the same group. When you say white boy, that's what you're doing. You're saying white boy. We know Devin Haney never would have said, you know what? I never lose to a Mexican. He know that ain't gonna happen because he has a lot of Mexicans in his, sport and the way he make a living that he'll have to face. But for him to say white boy, knowing there's not too many white boys in his vision, in his radar right now, in his scope, except for Vasily Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? So him trying to call out Vasily Lomachenko in that manner was absolutely the wrong way to go about it. Is absolutely the wrong way. And for him to put out a tweet like that only means that someone else agreed, y'all. Someone else agreed, Devin. You should have used better judgment if you was on the live with your father. I don't get into family business, or whatever. But I'd be damned. I'm going to hear another person say, oh, it's a shame of y'all going in on a young kid. Devin Haney is a kid? What the fuck? You trying to tell me somebody's going in on Devin Haney, in on a kid? Devin Haney is no kid. The dude is a world champion. He's been in the sport of boxing. He's pretty much and more so mature than a lot of people his age because he's been through a different type of lifestyle. He's been in the gym. Call it for what it is. But for somebody to get on here and say some dumbass words talking about we're criticizing or denigrating a kid all because he said some words and you're not even recognizing. Look, you're not even recognizing what Devin Haney said to his severity. Devin Haney said he'll never lose to a white boy. You're not even identifying what he said. He didn't say he wouldn't lose to another race. It's kind of cowering down if you're not admitting what was said. That's why people dog out new media, because you pick your narrative and you want to sit up here and pick and choose what you want to talk about. But yet you keep it very fragmented and you pick the pieces on what you want to elaborate on. Devin Haney said what he said. It's going to get passed. It's not a criminal act. It's just the wrong place, the wrong time, and the wrong verbiage to use if you really want to fight Vasily Lomachenko. Just say, you know what, I want to fuck Vasily Lomachenko up. I want to get in the ring. I want my date. I want to be able to go in there and defeat Vasily Lomachenko. And the crazy thing about it, Lomachenko isn't undefeated, y'all. Lomachenko isn't undefeated. So for somebody to say Devin Haney a kid, Devin Haney is not a kid. The man is old enough. He's past the critical period of learning. He is past the cognitive process of 4 and 5 years old. He understands right from wrong. He knows all of that. What he said, he was probably being, braggadocious, but also it was underscored as being extremely prejudiced because you encapsulated a group. You said white boy. And not to go too far in depth, I'm just saying to my black people, if someone would say that about us, we would have been extremely upset. Period. On to MMA. You know what is crazy what I'm hearing, people? I'm hearing this. I'm hearing local radio stations all of a sudden say, we're at low risk of catching the COVID-19 in the US. So speaking of how media switches up the narrative, speaking of how media influence the perception of the listening audience, you see it right now. If you listen to the radio, you listen to the news, a lot of states, a lot of regions, they're following suit to basically end, they stay in place the 30th of this month, y'all. So now all of a sudden you have local radios and freaking TV shows and advertisement saying you're at low risk of catching or contracting COVID-19. How is that the truth? How in the hell we still have people dying? So how in the hell we all of a sudden at a low risk? So with that said, I was talking to some people and they was like, man, we're going to get to see the UFC. We're going to get to see the UFC, man. We're going to get to see boxing because they're opening up. They're lifting some of the bans, and that's going to allow for a larger gathering to take place because, they got the beaches open and everything, and that's going to allow different regions to open up the gates to host combat sports. So as we all know, Dana White was set to host a fight card next month. For those of you that heard it, Dana White was set to host a fight card for next month. The thing about it was, it wasn't UFC 249. UFC 249, they decided to recycle bin that, throw it in the trash bin, flush it down the toilet, whatever. Because I guess the card was cursed and it was known for Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov. So it was going to be UFC 250. All right. So let me just pull up the card. I just want to pull up the card, y'all, and show you how it fragmented. Once again, and you know what? People might take offense to what I'm going to say, but I am going to say it. And people kind of look at combat sports in this manner And we kind of look at it the same way in the military sometimes. So let me take you there right quick. And while I'm doing this, I'm just going to let you know that Dana White released a statement. And I'm going to read this statement to you. After I read the fight card that was supposed to go on, that was projected to happen next month. All right. And it was a hell of a card. I'm not gonna lie, it was a hell of a card. I was really looking forward to it. But I was thinking, I say, if they're gonna open up the gates a little bit, lift the bans, how's it gonna bleed over until how is it gonna bleed over and allow combat sports to kind of reconvene? And when I saw PFL, Professional Fight League, cancel the rest of their season, PFL canceled their entire season for 2020, y'all, I knew the UFC was in trouble. I knew the UFC was in trouble when the PFL canceled their entire season. Matter of fact, let me tell you what they put out. Statement from Peter Murray, CEO of the Professional Fight League. And if you don't remember, I interviewed Lance Adams, who won the PFL tournament in his division twice, $1 million. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Professional Fight League has rescheduled our upcoming 2020 season until spring 2021. PFC is a global MMA league with athletes from over 25 countries, and our decision is guided by the health and safety of our fighters, fans, partners, and event personnel. The PFL mission is to grow the sport of MMA, and we look forward to staging our unique sports season format with regular season, playoff, and championships events on ESPN platforms next year. PFL has always been focused on delivering the best made for TV MMA product, and we will continue to deliver the most innovative fight experience going forward. Fans can also look forward to the PFL elevating our roster with new championship caliber fighter signings such as Rory MacDonald. That's from the PFL. When I seen and read that the PFL was canceling their season, I said, you know what? The UFC is in trouble. The UFC is in absolute trouble right now. There's no way that the PFL is going to cancel their card and then the UFC puts on a card next month. Something's going on. And the Island, that shit's not ready right now. What y'all think about them canceling the card? Let me go over here. So here's the article for Dana White. Dana White explains plans for the future fights after UFC 49 cancel. You need to undo the alarm, man. Let me find the article right quick. I thought this was the article. How all of a sudden? Nah, hold up. Y'all bear with me. Okay. Where did this article go, man? I just had it up here on a tab. How all of a sudden it disappears? How all of a sudden it disappears? I'm trying to find the article to cite. Okay. Okay, here's the card right quick, people. All right. The proposed UFC card was Tony Ferguson versus Gaethje. Interim lightweight title. That's 155. Henry Cejudo at 135, the champ. You know, he threw, you know, he vacated his 125 flyweight title. Now he's just at 135, right? So Henry Cejudo versus Dominique Cruz would have been great. Now, this is my question. This was my skepticism. This is my skepticism was Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer. The reason why this was my skepticism, if this title fight would have taken place, because Amanda Nunes had bowed out before, saying she had like a sinus problem or something, right? Or whatever the case may be. So I was curious to see if she was going to try to battle during the COVID-19 and put herself at risk or in harm's way, doing this COVID-19. And wouldn't you know, she pulled out. Amanda Nunes said, actually, I'm not fighting May 9th. Nunes told CBS Sports on Monday, I'm going to fight, but I don't know yet. I don't think this is the right time for me right now. There you go. There you go, people. That's the one thing about Amanda Nunes, man. She's talented as shit, man. But man, I can't blame her for not fighting right now. But I knew when I saw her on here for a title fight, I knew she may indeed flee the scene. He said, I don't think this is the right time for me right now to fight. Let the coronavirus pass a little bit so I can at least have a full camp. Now, she's talking about having a full camp with Felicia Spencer, who she would absolutely wash. Real talk. Amanda Nunes is much better than Felicia Spencer. You know, Spencer's in the right position to get the title shot against Amanda Nunes, but Amanda Nunes will give her the business. Moving on. We can maybe see around June, but let's see what is going to happen. But I'm not fighting May 9th. She put it on the training camp, but more so I think it was coronavirus. Even though they're saying we have a low risk of contracting COVID-19 in the US right now, right? But she's worrying about whatever and she wants to see it pass. Let me try to find the new article. I'm going to read it off my phone. I know I got it on my phone. UFC Lincoln, UFC Oklahoma City, UFC 50, and UFC San Diego canceled. Dana White once again had the genuflect, and he could not follow through because other people were probably on his neck about throwing this card. Let me finish this fight card though. After Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer is Francis Ngannou versus Rosenstruck. And then Kevin Kattar against Jeremy Stevens, Donald Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis, De Castro versus Greg Hardy. I was looking forward to seeing that fight. Olenek versus Verdun. Esparza versus Waterson. Female strawweight division. Uriah Hall versus Ronaldo Sosa, which I was looking forward to seeing that one, of course. And this one too. Vicente Luque against Nico Price. Absolutely, I want to see that fight. And then Bryce Mitchell. I think he's the maybe the second. I believe he's the second or the second to pull off the twister submission in the UFC. Featherweight. And those of you that may not know, featherweight, that's 145. He was due to face Charles Rosa. That has all been scrapped. You know what I'm saying? So now what's up for the UFC and everybody else, for the fight fans who's on here, tuned in, Josh, Perky, everybody else that was hoping and praying that we was able to see some type of combat sports action. It's not going to happen. But what is true to the game, right, is we're able to see small businesses, hair salons and all that open back up. They're opening up small business to get the economy back in rotation. You know what I'm saying? So the economy is more important. I'm telling you, I agree. The economy is much more important than saying, you know what, let's cater to these combat sports organizations. We need to get this economy back up. And I'm glad they're opening up so these small businesses can get back on track and provide for their family and don't go under and end up homeless. So it's a good deal that you're taking risk. Governor Kemp down here in Georgia said he's going to end the stay in place policy or whatever. The 30th of this month, and they're going to slowly start phasing in certain leniency across the state to allow small business to start back operation. Good stuff. I hope so, because I'm really looking forward to go somewhere where it's not as many restrictions, but also maintain caution because COVID-19 is still active. Sir Ken say, nope, not me. First the water crisis, and now this pandemic. I'm staying safe. Real talk. Perky say, can't see Amanda Nunes losing to anyone on the current roster. I don't see Amanda Nunes losing to anybody in her division. Look, anybody in her divisions, okay? Because she's the bantamweight and featherweight champion. So I don't see anybody losing. I don't see her losing to anybody in her divisions. Now, it would be good to cross-thread. It would be good to cross-thread organizations and have a Bellator fighter, but we all know who's the champion over there at 145. So we already seen that fight. So that won't make any sense for Cyborg to come back over here and fight a Nunes. It wouldn't make any sense for a rematch right now. Can't see any events happening to the start of June. I'm not sure June is going to be enough. If they shut it down for May, well, these fighters need a fight camp. So these fighters, you're not going to see a fight card unless these fighters have a fight camp. We're talking about champions that's going to be on the card. You got to load. You got to top load, front load the card so people can tune in. You have to front load the card. In order for you to front load the card, you have to have champions on there. You have to have champions for people to say, man, you know, it's none, you know, let's go, man. This is a nice ass card. And, you know, Ferguson and Gaethje, they're names that magnetize people, you know, bring them closer and say, you know what, let's do it. You might have some boxing fans say, okay, let's check this out. But these guys need a fight camp. So what's fucked up about it, Ferguson and Gaethje, they was active in camp. We really don't know, are they going to get reimbursed for their fight camp, because fight camps cost, you know what I'm saying? And everybody else that was on that card that was in fight camp. But you know, overall, people, what this COVID-19 will be able to bless combat sports with, the opportunity for some of these fighters to start off with a clean slate. What I mean by that, if they had injuries, if they wasn't as healthy as they should be, if it was certain fights that were supposed to take place in the time that we've been on lockdown, it may indeed move up fighters into certain slots to be able to have a different opponent or a higher opponent. And also it'll allow their body to get that rest. So when they do return to the sport, they're ready to go. But they have to have a fight camp. You just can't lift the ban and then the UFC said, you know what, I'm putting on a fight card next weekend. You're not going to get championship fights and you have fighters with belts not in fight camp. They're not going to go over there and lose the title all because Dana White want to put on a fight card. It's not going to happen. If you go over there and lose your belt because you're not in the best of shape and you've been enjoying the free life, then I'm going to tell you, it's going to hurt you. Dana White is not going to show you any type of remorse and you go in there and get subbed out or knocked out and you chose to be on the fight and you know you needed more training. You wasn't in the best fight shape. Josh talks UFC. Perkins said a lot of major sports are planning to come back and plan in June. They can plan all they want, but you know what? Until we have the ultimate green light, I'm talking about that bitch is neon. Until we get that neon light, they're saying everything is greened up. We hot. We cleared hot. I'm not gonna believe it. You know, other sports, they may be able to do what they want to do. But when it comes to contact sports, you're going to have people fearful of going in there. We're talking about MMA, full contact, clinching, all that. We're talking about boxing, clinching. It's going to be people that sit up here and have second thoughts about that. You know, baseball and everything, okay, they might decide to go up here and have baseball games with no audience. All right, cool. I really don't watch baseball. I don't care to talk about it. Josh said, how can Amanda Nunes say she hasn't really had a camp? What has she been doing these last couple of months? Amanda Nunes says she hasn't really had a camp. What has she been doing these last couple of months? And this fight was booked months ago. Really weird. That's Amanda Nunes, man. And I'm gonna get to another aspect of where I said Amanda Nunes may be the one to pull out. As much as I have respect for the females in combat sports, I do, and it's not all of them, because I can't say Valentina Shevchenko would have took the call. I can't say that, but seeing Rose Namajunas pull out due to family having COVID-19. Then you get one thing women are going to do is stick by women. At the end of the day, a woman, I'm telling you, a woman, they might scratch and claw, but when it comes down to it, a woman will end up supporting another woman if it comes down to it, right? I knew looking at this card, I said, I think Amanda Nunes is going to be the one. The next one is going to be a female to pull out. The guys don't care. You know, the guys like, shit, I'm in. Let's go. Josh said, really want to see Dominique Cruz versus Cejudo. Cruz is training hard currently, and Cejudo has been training for months. Will be a war if it happens. Cruz is going to win. Heard it first. That would be a good fight, man. And I was really looking forward to seeing those two clash, lock up, get it in. I got mad respect. Dominique Cruz is one of my favorite fighters. Seriously, even though he's injury prone, I like his fight IQ. I like how he's able to break down fights. Good dude, but still tough. Still getting your ass if he needs to go in there and shoot in for a single leg or double leg. You know, so who don't knows he's not going in there with a guy who can't wrestle, a guy that's, you know, a tyro when it comes to takedown defense. He's going in there against Dominique Cruz, man. One of the best bantamweights the UFC has had. Josh said, you guys call it soccer, but the German football league is apparently coming back in 2 weeks behind closed doors, and all the teams are back in training. Germany have handled this well. Good for them. Seriously. If they're coming back and they're able to perform behind closed doors, good for them, man. And they probably might pop it on TV. Awesome. That's good. No doubt. I mean, hearing local radio shows sit up here and say you're at low risk of catching COVID-19 in the US. When the hell did this news come about? How all of a sudden we're at low risk of catching COVID-19 and we still have people dying? We still have people contracting the virus, y'all. But now the narrative is push it out to all the radio stations and the news and the media APs to tell the public. Now it's going to come up that the numbers of the people dying is going to slowly start dissolving. They're going to pretty much not keep it hush hush, but they're not going to disclose it to the public. So the general perception is going to be that COVID-19 is pretty much lowering its new cases, and we should feel more safe about it. Just like China. China was freaking plastered with COVID-19 cases. And all of a sudden, China disappears. You don't hear shit. Like, have you heard about China in the last week, y'all? Have you heard anything about China? Have you heard anything about COVID-19 coming from China? How did they come up there and they was headline news? And all of a sudden, we don't hear anything. A peak. Quiet them a piece of wet lint. You don't hear shit. But now all the damn AP is over here in the US. And now the US media is talking about we're about to lift our restrictions. The numbers of new cases are very low. That's good news to hear. What? That's because you want them to be low. That's because the hospitals are being probably told and given the order, report the new cases or whatever to this particular person. They're going to refrain from reporting the new outbreaks or the cases to the media or whatever, just to gain the confidence of the general public. And that's fucked up. Just say, and did you see Joe Rogan is getting a lot of hate because because he's testing everyone who comes in his podcast. I don't know why it's a big deal, because he's hired a private doctor and everything. Joe Rogan say, man, I ain't fucking with y'all. Joe Rogan say, man, I ain't fucking with y'all. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say, man. We can smoke. We can do everything else, but your ass got to get tested. Don't bring your ass in here unless you got there. Look, and this is a question I have for Joe Rogan. If Joe Rogan is able to test people coming into his podcast, why haven't we received test kits? Where are the test kits for the general public and the civilians? Where are the test kits to determine if we have it or not? If Joe Rogan has a doctor to perform this, why haven't test kits been in the stores? Where can we locate them? Tell me something. Give me some, show me something. I'm trying to live. But Joe Rogan saying, you know what? Y'all can say what y'all want to say, but I'm gonna play it safe. And I don't give a damn what y'all talking about. Perky said, you guys hear Vito Belfort making a comeback. Yeah, I read that. He was supposed to have been making a comeback, but I wasn't sure if it was the UFC. I think it was Bellator. I'm not sure. But one thing we know, Vito Belfort needs to stay retired, man. Much respect to the legend, but he needs to stay retired. But if Joe Rogan, man, is testing people, good on him. Good on him for taking initiative. You know what I'm saying? Good on him, man. Nothing's wrong with Joe Rogan for stepping up and testing people. If they want to give him backlash for being safe, come on, man. People are so freaking naive when it comes to hearing that they're about to lift the stay in place and allow business to open up, and everybody's like protesting. You have people protesting in California, you have people protesting in Pennsylvania, you have people protesting down here, you have people protesting everywhere because they want to go back into society. So if they go back in there and it's a damn outbreak and a freaking pandemic explodes, what are we gonna do? We ain't gonna know what the fuck to do. We're gonna be like in a hurt locker. We're gonna shit. We going back on lockdown. We open up the gates too early. Or look, or we may not even hear it out here from the news media. Why? Because they're trying to convince the people here in the U.S. grid that it's safe to frequent and go back to normalcy slowly but surely. They're trying to convince the people there's no need for you to be fearful for your lives. We have this under control and we're doing anything and everything. But in fact, what is going on, people, is that they're slowly reviving and resuscitating the economy. Believe that. Believe that. From the White House on down to the lower echelons, businesses are losing money. That is one of the reasons why the economy is being given the green light to lift these bans slowly but surely in phases. Because the president just can't say I want to lift it in where my business is at, where my business I don't want to lift it here. No, he has to make sure it trickles down across the board so they can start back making money. If you think Donald Trump business is not losing money, you're sadly mistaken. They're losing money, people. They're losing money, absolutely. Josh said, watch Bisping versus Henderson earlier. Well, a fight, Bisping got knocked down and everything. Bisping is a true warrior. Outside of Daniel Cormier, as far as interviews, the only person that comes in second place, in my opinion, I would definitely want to speak with Michael Bisping, because Michael Bisping talked. Look, let me tell you the reason, and I'm not going to stay on it too long, but let me tell you the reason why I respect Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping stays the course, regardless of the way you look at it. He stays the course. He talks shit to one fighter, he talks shit to the next fighter and the next fighter. The shit he talked to Anderson Silva, oh my God. Dan Henderson, damn. This dude would talk trash, win or lose. The shit he talked to Luke Rockhold. Michael Bisping is one of those dudes that's underrated. People looked at him like he was just this guy that didn't have he wasn't about that life, and he really was. He was about that life before he came to the UFC. Michael Bisping is one of those guys, man. He's a real hardcore type of dude, man. He used to fight in the streets and everything. The one thing about him, when Dan Henderson dropped that elbow on his ass when he was asleep, he still, when he recovered and got back to his normal self, he was talking the same trash. I respect it. Win or lose, that's what Michael Bisping was about. And I know he would be a good interview because he's going to keep it all the way a hundo. He's going to tell you not what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what he know. And I can appreciate and respect that about Bisping. Period. I can appreciate that. I seen Florida opening up some beaches again. Florida, I think they just don't care. That's kind of like been days now. They opening up the beaches. They shut them down for a week and a half or whatever, and people are back on the beach. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. If they feel that it's cool for them to go up there and think the water is going to prevent COVID-19 because of the heat and the water, so be it. Bisping just asks himself. He's a normal guy who trash talking and enjoys what he does. What a guy. I'm glad he's moved on to commentary and a career. He had wished he worked commentary on PPV. One thing, Michael Bisping was forced to leave the sport because his eye. Just like Israel Vasquez. Once Israel Vasquez left the sport, he lost his eye. You know, Israel was in some wars, and I know a couple of those fights he returned to the ring earlier than he should have. Michael Bisping took a fight, which he talks about with Kevin Gastelum, that really fucked up his eye. That's real talk. I mean, look it up. Michael Bisping was fighting for the company, fighting for his family, all that. But Michael Bisping, right eye, man, is done. My understanding, he lost his right eye. But the warrior he is, you know, he'll say, I wouldn't change anything. I'll do it again for my family. That's what it's about. Facts. So I have mad respect for him, man. But the UFC, man, and the UFC fight fans, boxing fight fans, we're just going to have to wait. We're really going to have to wait until this blows over. We just have to wait till everything settles down and we get some true numbers to the cases, leveling out. You know what I'm saying? And we're not out here dying because the economy. And maybe, you know, I hope this is a lesson to fighters in general. And I'm not lecturing any fighter. I'm just saying maybe this is a lesson to the fighters. Instead of, you know, buying certain things when you get these big checks, maybe you should indeed invest correctly, because this may not be the last time that we're in a crisis like this. So instead of buying big purchases that's not going to get you a return, you know, put your money in the business so it can get you a residual. You want that residual. Seriously, you want that residual. It's tough out here, man. We may come out this for business purposes economically this year and then be right back in it 2021 near the end of the year or whatever. It might be something else that happens and they have to go back into isolation. But, you know, not to prognosticate negativity, but we're going to keep it positive. And we hope this levels down and stays in seclusion for quite some time, and we're able to go back to normalcy. Josh said he had one eye and won a title and defended it once against Henderson, and then fought one of the GOATs, GSP, and then took a fight against Gastelum on short notice. You might not like the guy. He's a true warrior, and you have to respect it. That's real talk. I do respect Michael Bisping. No doubt. No doubt. I respect Michael Bisping, and I'm hoping to interview him one day, but it's probably going to be impossible now that he's a commentator. I don't know. It's tough to get into the media aspect of UFC, and I kind of like it, but I don't like it because I'm not on the inside yet. As much as I know about mixed martial arts, I really can't complain about the organization of the UFC. They're just not the kind of organization to have a open door policy to anybody and everybody. That's why you only see the same faces on the camera asking questions. I get it, bro. You know what I'm saying? But maybe in the future, they'll kind of open it up a little bit. It's not like boxing where you have all these branches of media segues out there at different cards, and you're able to possibly get into a presser or to interview the fighters at the host hotel or whatever you see them, and even at the weigh-ins. But it's a little bit, I don't know, a bit more organized, and you have to go through protocols for the UFC to get in there and get those interviews. I'm not sure what you mean. What about Caruso versus Volkanovski? I mean, it's really no need to. We don't know. I mean, mixed martial arts is in the wash right now. It's in the wash right now, man. Combat sports in general, there's no need to talk about the what ifs. It's just tough to talk about. That's all that you see. What if so-and-so faced so-and-so? What if this? Volkanovski, I wouldn't mind seeing him step back in there against the same person he won the title from. Period. Why shouldn't there be a rematch with Max Bless Holloway? Why shouldn't there? I mean, what's going on here? We can't see rematches. Okay, you able to get the title, and then all of a sudden you making calls. He's like, oh, this is what Volkanovski said. Oh, it was too easy. I'm not really trying to face Max Bless Holloway again. It was too easy. How would you say the shit is too easy? You won the title, and now you want to say it's too freaking easy? I think that's making excuses, man. I don't appreciate that shit. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a paying customer, I don't appreciate that because you won the title, you know, from somebody who defended it, but yet and still, now you're the champion. You don't want to defend it against the man you won it from? Come on, Volkanovski. You're not that big of a star now. You're not that big of a star yet. Josh say Nate Diaz versus Conor 3 in the summer for me. And what weight? What weight, Josh? What weight we talking? What weight we talking? We talking 170? Well, we can't be talking 170. That's pointless. We gotta be talking lightweight. Because if Conor McGregor is on the hunt to face Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? In a rematch, it doesn't behoove him to go up to 170 again and face Nate Diaz. It's just not a good look. It just isn't a good look. This man needs to continue to compete in the lightweight division to set himself up, hopefully, for a rematch with Khabib Nurmagomedov in 2021. He don't need to go over there and balloon up to 170 in a division he's not going to campaign at. I know people fight in different divisions. I get it, bro. Real talk. I get it. I understand what you're saying. But for Conor McGregor, really needs to stay on track. He should be done with fluctuating weight classes when he has his eyes set. Because let me break this to you. Conor McGregor has been subbed out in 145 featherweight, 155 lightweight, and 170. He has been subbed out in 3 divisions. Conor McGregor needs to reorganize, reset, and focus solely on that 155 title and face Khabib a second time. If Conor McGregor can go in there and defeat Khabib Nurmagomedov at lightweight and regain the lightweight title, he's back in the motherfucking driver's seat. Now, you're talking about a Khabib versus Conor 3. If he's able to go in there and somehow, some way defeat Khabib, if Tony Ferguson don't, now we have a huge 2-fight deal. People are going to see Conor McGregor because he still sells tickets. They're going to see him face Khabib for the rematch. If he's able to defeat Khabib and give him his first L, then of course they're going to do a trilogy. Conor can't sit up here and say, "No, I ain't fucking around with Khabib no more." Conor, how many losses he got? How many losses? Conor has lost twice in the UFC. He's been subbed out both times. Subbed out by Nate Diaz, subbed out by Khabib. So it would be great to see him go back in there and face Nurmagomedov in a trilogy, if indeed he takes the title. Josh said 170 probably. Don't think Conor or Nate will want to cut down. Listen to 155. Nate jumping in and out of the UFC, fish lining fighters, the one person that made him some pretty good money, Conor, those days are over. We shouldn't see Conor McGregor being attached to Nate Diaz and there's no title on the line. There's no title on the line. Conor McGregor, if his focus is solely on a rematch with Khabib, he really should stay at lightweight. Seriously, he should stay at lightweight. It makes no sense for him to win twice at 170, then get a title shot at 155. That's all I'm saying. But for me, I just want to see Conor versus Nate again. Okay, I feel you on that. When Nate took Conor to the ground and submitted him, that was one of the best moments in UFC history for me. Legendary stuff. I disagree because Conor ground game was absolutely embryonic. It was rudimentary. It was under the stages of development, and that shit wasn't legendary to me. Fuck that. Not with Conor. Nate Diaz has been in tougher fights than Conor McGregor. He showed that Conor didn't have a gas tank, forced Conor to shoot in for a freaking whatever he tried to, a double leg or whatever on a BJJ black belt. He basically surrendered. Conor McGregor did something that he knew he wasn't going to win because he didn't have any other alternatives. So he shot in on Nate, and the rest is history. He subbed out via RNC, and we knew the shit was going to happen. Come on, bro. Second round, we knew the shit was going to happen. But of course, he returned and he was able to avenge his loss. But that shit wasn't legendary. What is legendary with Conor McGregor, y'all, is this. Conor McGregor was able to defeat Chad Mini Mendez, as he called him. Conor McGregor called him Chad Mini Mendez. He was able to defeat Mendez, right? Who was off the couch, he didn't have a full training camp. Then he was able to go in there, the featherweight division, and stop Jose Aldo in 13, right? Beginning of a legendary shit right here. So Conor McGregor, as the featherweight champion, moves up. These fights are not 6 months apart. They're only mere months apart. So he moves up and faces Nate Diaz, subbed out. Then rematch, Nate Diaz wins. Drops back down to 155 lightweight, y'all. Steps in there against Eddie the Underground King Alvarez and stops him. Become the first champ in the division. What the fuck? That's legendary. Conor McGregor became the first champ of the UFC. That's why he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, period. He was the first to do it. That shit was legendary. The way he was able to take the route he did, pick up his first title, move up to a higher weight class, face Nate Diaz twice, move back down, defeat Eddie Alvarez, who had a belt in every division. I mean, every organization he ever fought in. Eddie Alvarez has been champion, y'all. Real talk. That shit's legendary, man. And then to put the cherry on top, y'all, why Conor McGregor, in a lot of people's eyes, still have that price tag, that attraction, is because he was the one at the time champ that got the call up. He piggybacked off Ronda Rousey, who was talking too much shit. Floyd would have fucked that woman up in boxing. She gets on night shows and she was talking shit, talking about she can beat Floyd with one hand behind. She beat her opponents with one hand behind her back and all that shit. She won that ESPN award. She's talking all this shit. So Conor McGregor decides to start doing the same thing. And it worked. And him and Floyd Mayweather went in there. It was in one of the highest grossing boxing matches. And when Conor McGregor was an 0-0 boxer. Legendary. I can't call it, bro. That shit Conor McGregor did was legendary. Seriously. The only reason I don't want to interview Conor McGregor, man, because he doesn't seem like he's an approachable dude, y'all. Seriously. He doesn't seem like he's an approachable dude. But when it comes down to his legendary status, what he was able to do in mixed martial arts and boxing, oh my God. Conor McGregor was able to he was able to solidify his family. He was able to solidify his earnings higher than boxers that's been in the sport that had an amateur pedigree. Conor McGregor fought amateur, but nowhere close to amateur boxers, okay? He fought regionally. He fought internal to Ireland or whatever, right? And he did what he had to do. Nothing special. So when you talk about somebody that never was able to become a professional fighter, he turned to mixed martial arts, took 2 L's. He took 2 L's, right? He came into the UFC with 2 L's. Since in the UFC, he has taken 2 L's, right? Go over to boxing and fight one of the best boxers of this era in Floyd Mayweather, y'all. Are y'all feeling me on this? Are y'all understanding what I'm talking about? This man was able to go over there and fight TBE. Even though Floyd Mayweather carried Conor McGregor to 10 rounds, and I know we have some extremely casual fans out there that's saying Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather for 10 rounds. No, the fuck he didn't. Floyd Mayweather could have shut down that shit in under 3 rounds. But since the viewing fans, the onlookers, paid that much money for those seats, Floyd being the corporate man he is, he gave them a show and he wanted everybody to be entertained. So he allowed Conor McGregor to rabbit punch, do all this other MMA shit. He just looked out of place in the ring, and he closed him out. Floyd Mayweather said, no, you're not going in the championship rounds with me. This is where you get off. And he closed his ass out. But for Conor McGregor, it's legendary. Him picking up the featherweight title in 13 seconds. Him stopping Eddie Alvarez in the lightweight division. Him transferring over to boxing without any previous professional experience in one of the highest grossing matches. It's unfreaking believable. It's unbelievable, man, when you think about it. And I'm not even really a Conor McGregor. Like, even when he was winning his belts, I wasn't a fan of Conor McGregor. I was like, he's not an all-around fighter, but he was able to knock his opponent out. And then I said to myself, well, that's the same thing about Chuck Liddell. You rarely seen Chuck Liddell go to the ground, but he was knocking motherfuckers out. The hype around Diaz kind of fights were great because Nate didn't crumble under the pressure and trash talk and could trash talk back and didn't care straight gangster stuff. See, the one thing people hide beneath the rug, right, is that the Diaz brothers was doing that shit Conor was doing long before Conor was doing it. People don't give them credit because they haven't been following the sport that long. The Diaz brothers was trash talking long before Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor just was able to do it better. You know what I'm saying? Conor McGregor did it better. But you're talking about Nate Diaz having his opponent, I think it was Kurt Pellegrino. He had him in the triangle choke. Arm in triangle choke. And he was flicking the double bird up at the cameras. Come on, man. The shit Diaz brothers was doing with Conor McGregor, you know, causing an all-out melee in the press conference, throwing water bottles at one another. The Diaz brothers are about that life. So they was doing all that shit before Conor McGregor. I'm going to be honest. Oh, okay, I still feel bad, Aldo, after what happened after Conor. Jose Aldo just looked crushed after Jose Aldo looked crushed after all the trash talk and everything and looked beat before the fight. We wanted to see normal Aldo. Absolutely. Although he wasn't one of those fighters, man. It's just all about continuous trash talk. Aldo wasn't that guy, man. Aldo was like, man, let's get in there and do what we got to do. But Conor McGregor fucked him up. You know what I'm saying? Psych jitsu. His psych jitsu was unbelievable, Conor McGregor. He got in the head of Aldo and he fucked him up. I'm going to be honest. I really don't like McGregor, but I respect the fact what he did past me. He still needs one more fight before the title against Khabib. I don't think so. It depends. You know, Conor McGregor, he was subbed out in the 4th round, right, with Khabib. It wasn't like he was knocked out, but he was subbed out. Now, you take in consideration there, Josh, that Diamond Poirier was subbed out by Khabib too. Khabib is a freaking monster, yo. So when you look at it in that perspective, it's just not like Conor McGregor was undefeated going in there with Khabib. He was on the receiving end of what Khabib Nurmagomedov administers, and he is a Sambo monster. Perky said Aldo she got the rematch. Aldo wasn't a ticket seller. Aldo respectfully was somewhat grandfathered in once the UFC created his division. Although coming over from the WEC over to the UFC, he was able to fight for the championship. He came over here champion. He was able to fight for the championship. So he was reigning champion. People up there believing short of that. They really don't know the history between Aldo. Yeah, he was reigning, but it was two different divisions, right? Him getting a rematch, it was at a point in time where Dana White was trying to basically milk the shit out of Conor McGregor while the fans was tuning in to Notorious. Conor McGregor had the look. He had the freaking tats. He had the bravado. Everything you're looking for to sell tickets to the fight fans, Conor McGregor was the dude. Conor McGregor was that guy. Dana White said, you know what? I'm going to give Conor McGregor what he wants. The dude is proving it. He went in there and dispersed of Dennis Silver. He went in there and dispersed of Chad Mendez. He went in there and knocked out Aldo in 13 seconds. Aldo in 13 seconds? 13 seconds? You knock out Jose Aldo. Dana White said, okay, this guy's for real. What do you want? Let's go fight Nate Diaz. Did pretty good numbers. He lost. And people didn't even treat it like a loss. People say, oh, don't worry about it, Conor. We'll be at your door to drop flowers. Give you white roses. We'll nurse you back to health because we love you. So the fans waited to the rematch, and Conor McGregor was able to go back in there and redeem himself, y'all. So Dana White said, okay, cool. Let's drop back down to 155. You get the title shot against Eddie Alvarez. So this was a point where Cowboy Cerrone said, you know what? We just too big for you. You get your little ass crushed coming over here to 155. It's a whole different weight class. You remember Cowboy Cerrone telling Conor McGregor that? When Conor McGregor was due to fight at 145? I know Cowboy Cerrone couldn't believe what was going on with this dude. Seriously. Once Conor McGregor went from 145 all the way up to welterweight and defeated Nate Diaz, I bet Cowboy Cerrone was like, what? No diggity? No doubt. And then, shit, he moved back down to damn lightweight, man, and defeated Eddie Alvarez. And Cowboy Cerrone still hasn't been able to get the title. That's what's so fucked up about it. That's what makes Conor McGregor legendary, man. I truly believe Cowboy Cerrone back then was a better fighter than Conor McGregor will ever be. But Conor McGregor elevated his status at the right time. Seriously, Conor McGregor was able to go to new heights like he had rocket jetpacks on his back. You can't even fuck. I mean, when Conor McGregor was elevating himself and he went through these divisions, won 2 belts, 2 different divisions, and went over there and fought Floyd Mayweather, you couldn't tell him shit, dog. Those were all hand-picked fights for McGregor. Perky, what are you talking about? Hand-picked fights? What are you talking about, bro? Hand-picked fights for what? Who? Look at McGregor last fights, man. Hand-picked who? After Silva? Who really cared? Look, Silva wasn't a slouch. Dude was tough, and Conor McGregor finished his ass. What are the hand-picked fights? Mendez was respected in the UFC. Whether he was handpicked for that fight or not, he didn't have a full training camp. We already knew that. I know this. So you talk about everybody else after Mendez. What handpicked fights are you talking about, bro? Enlighten me. Please clarify what you're saying, man. If only Jose Aldo speaks English. He was big in Brazil and other parts of the world, but not really big to the casual fan and normal fans in America until the McGregor fight. Yeah, partially. Aldo was big, but look at this way, Josh. Aldo was a star, but we was in a different era of mixed martial arts fans. The guard has changed. You just can't be this quiet freak, just like in boxing. You can't be this quiet Brazilian star. You have to do something. We're not talking about the female side. We're talking about the male side. You got to say something. The MMA fans has grown. They want to see something, trash talking something. They want to see something in mixed martial arts. So when Aldo was in there, the entire freaking vibe was different. The entire vibe was different than mixed martial arts. Now it's changed. It's absolutely changed, man. Why do you think, and this is a perfect example, Josh, why do you think Demetrius Johnson, as much as he put into defending his title 11 times, why do you think he's in one championship? He wasn't a ticket seller. He wasn't a trash talker. He wasn't the one to go up here and sell tickets by opening his mouth and just doing this. Dana White got rid of him. He traded him for Ben Askren, a guy who he really didn't like. He got rid of Demetrius Johnson because he wanted to shut down the flyweight division. Facts. But I understand your point, though, bro. Solid input, man. Josh say, I would have liked Conor to at least defend his titles. That's what I like people. That's what I don't like people to act like Conor is a GOAT, but he hasn't defended the title. Once he did so much for the support, but he isn't a GOAT. The terminology GOAT can be loosely used, loosely used by casual MMA fans. Why? Because their favorite, they're enamored with Conor McGregor because of his bravado. Seriously. So, like I said before, being able to complete his lineup in the mixed martial arts and then cross over to boxing and come back, there's still a halo over Conor McGregor as being this superstar, even though his first fight back, he got subbed out and people still see him as this lovable guy who was able to be champ, go over there and fight Floyd Mayweather and then come back and lose to Khabib. The MMA fans are a different type of group of people now. Like certain people can get away with murder and they still love them and adore them. And then certain fighters, man, they just freaking cast. Look, they just freaking cast them out, man. They don't care. They treat them as a pariah. They don't want to come see him fight. Seriously. They love Conor McGregor. But he isn't a GOAT. They were all picked to his fighting style. Only one was Mendez with wrestling. But with short notice, my opinion, easy fights for him. I disagree there, Perky, because Mendez had wrestling. Okay. Silva was a pretty decent takedown defense and wrestler. And also, Jose Aldo, look at his fights. Jose Aldo wasn't on his back like that. You know what I'm saying? So he got knocked out in 13 seconds. That was a bad fight. Jose Aldo jiu-jitsu game far exceeded Conor McGregor's. Jose Aldo was the champion. That ain't hand-picked, man. That is giving Conor McGregor a title fight. Who else was Conor McGregor going to fight besides Jose Aldo? Jose Aldo was the champion, bro. That ain't no hand selection. And if it is, it's a diamond because it holds a strap. He's going for the gold. So indeed, man, Jose Aldo is not hand-picked, for what you're trying to say stylistically. Then you talk about Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is a black belt in BJJ. How is that a hand-picked opponent? He's dangerous. Nate Diaz has some of the best boxing skills in freaking MMA, man. He has some of the best boxing skills. How's that hand picked for Conor, who has a left hand? Conor was just able to go in there and win. How is Eddie Alvarez, who has wrestling, he has submission to his pedigree, and he knows how to bang? Conor McGregor shut him down. I just disagree with that, man. Nah, bro. Up to the title fight. Man, look at his record. Look at his record, man. Look at his record. Conor McGregor, he did what he had to do to get that title shot, man. Josh said the featherweight greatness of all time go like number 1, Jose Aldo, number 2, Max Holloway, and number 3, Conor McGregor. So you put Conor McGregor 3 behind Max Holloway, and I agree with that. Why? Because Max Holloway actually defended his belts. And then you talk about the amount of time that Jose Aldo reigned as champion. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree with that. That lineup, 1, 2, 3. I absolutely agree. Because when you look at Jose Aldo title reign, you look at Max Holloway defense of his titles, you know, and Conor McGregor, you know, being able to defeat Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, man, I give him his credit. Whatever, you know, I give him his credit, man. So yeah, you know, it is what it is, man. The guard changed though before our eyes. The guard changed from those older fighters that, you know, the game of mixed martial arts was evolving, and these fighters start to fight different. Like the training was different. The pace was different. I mean, it was a lot of shit that's different from look how much it's changed since Rashad Evans. Look how much has changed since Stephen Barner and Forrest Griffith, y'all. Look how much has changed since Chuck Liddell, Rampage Jackson, Vitor Belfort, Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock. Look how much the game has freaking changed, y'all. Even from Frankie Edgar. Imagine how much the game has changed. Even from Anthony Pettis, the game has changed. Even from the Diaz brothers, the game has changed, man. You can say GSP is one of those fighters who chose the right opponents. I'm not saying his whole career. I'm just saying near the end, you know, and what he was able to do. Okay. Look how Israel Adesanya, a former kickboxer, not really known for his jiu-jitsu, but he's in a division where he has a lot of opposition that no one's really implementing jiu-jitsu in the middleweight division. Robert Whittaker didn't. You know what I'm saying? So he was able to make himself all the way up with a bunch of guys who's used to standing and banging. Yoel Romero, what happens when he goes down to the mat? What happens? He would try to advance the position and land punches. He's not really, as a wrestler, trying to sink in a submission. So it gets kind of funny on how the lighter divisions, the game has changed so much. You know, them implementing certain divisions and how the rotation has happened. How this rotation has happened. Uriah Faber, how dominant he was in WEC, but wasn't able to come over here and catch up and win a title in the UFC. It's just an amazing freaking change of the guard, man. Seriously. Just like Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, the game caught up to her. She was one of the first females over here to start up the bantamweight division, but she was facing people who stylistically matched up nice for her to dominate, get in close, clinch, do the hip throw, and then work for an armbar submission, right? But when she got with Holly Holmes, anybody who look at Holly Holmes, anybody who's followed her from her boxing career knew that her boxing is going to be a problem. And then you see Holly Holmes and out in a neighboring organization, hone in her freaking mixed martial arts. She had the high kicks, okay, and she had good, strong base. Holly Holm had a good, strong base. You know what I'm saying? So she was able to use her slip Ronda Rousey, who didn't have good boxing. She was able to use her foot movement perfectly, and she was able to stun Ronda Rousey and hit her with that left high kick, and the rest is history. But what's going on right now, y'all, with Ronda Holly Holmes is just she's taking too much punishment in boxing. She's kind of sly on pulling the trigger, and that's what you're seeing from Holly Holmes. But I knew that was a bad matchup for Ronda Rousey. You think Ronda Rousey would have been successful if she started her reign now with these fighters on the current roster? Ronda Rousey, at this current stage of the evolving mixed martial arts for women, Ronda Rousey, she wouldn't even be a champion. Ronda Rousey had poor boxing, and poor boxing. We still look at Ronda Rousey judo skills as grappling, right? But even her ground game wasn't high level, and we wasn't able to see another opponent grapple with her on the equal level as her ground game. Like, we didn't get a chance to see that. When Ronda Rousey lost, both of her losses were via knockout. She wasn't subbed out. You know what I'm saying? It was via knockout. So I would like to see somebody grapple of equal grappling ability with Ronda Rousey and see how she fares. To kind of give you that check mark to say, okay, could she survive today? I don't think so. I don't even think so. I don't even think Ronda Rousey would have beat Valentina Shevchenko, to be honest. Seriously, I don't think so. The game has changed in mixed martial arts. The game has changed, people. But solid question, though, man. Solid question for sure. Solid question. Josh said, if Cowboy versus Pettis happens and Cowboy loses again, do you think it's time for Cowboy to retire because Gaethje Conor and Tony put a beating on him and he took so much damage and made his money? So the caveat with the a part of your paragraph, that pretty much answers the question right there. Gaethje just destroyed him. Ferg, you left out Ferg. Ferg destroyed him. Conor just went in there and did some shit and made it look good. You know what I'm saying? Conor did some shit and made it look good. Okay, we get it. But we're talking about Ferg. We're talking about Gaethje. Oh, you put Tony in there. My bad. You put Tony. You talking about Gaethje, Conor, Ferg, and even Diaz put a beating on freaking Cowboy Cerrone. And to answer your question, man, he should have retired a while ago when he has all these consistent losses, because he has 14 losses right now, man. Cowboy Cerrone has 14 losses, and he's losing and then getting back online and saying, you know what, I'll fight on the island. I'm pretty sure Cowboy Cerrone will fight on the island. He's just that all-out extreme dude. That's Cowboy Cerrone. That is Cowboy Cerrone, man. But I think he needs to let it go. Seriously, much respect, Cowboy Cerrone, much respect. But you're not fighting for a title right now. You're just fighting for a paycheck. And when you fight for a paycheck, man, you might get yourself hurt. Solid point, man. Now, Greg, 1964 in the building. Salute, man. Holmes showed nice footwork versus Rousey. Yeah, check the box. I agree on that, man. Absolutely right. She did check the box. She did. Josh said, Perky, I think if Rousey was still in the MMA, she would be a gatekeeper or a division. Rousey only had a ground game. Basically, her boxing and striking isn't great. She would get smacked probably today. She would get destroyed by some of those people because the game has changed so much from, okay, let me work myself on the inside. A lot of people working on takedown defense, even though their jiu-jitsu isn't up to par. All right. They're working on enough to the point where they're not trying to get taken down. And if they are taken down, they have enough to basically work back to their feet and work on their striking, work on the hip, hip escapes and everything else that goes along with being on your back, taking less punishment on your back. Look at Derek the Beast Lewis. He's not up here goddamn working extreme jiu-jitsu. He get put on his back, but they're not doing as much damage as you would think for somebody that big being placed on their back. I really don't want to use the example of Charles Oliveira because he's freaking jiu-jitsu is sick. But look at how he was able to get taken down. Didn't take no damage from Lee. He was like an octopus, man. Oliveira was like an octopus with freaking 20 arms down there. Every time Kevin Lee wanted to move, man, Oliveira had he had an ankle. He made sure he had 2 points of contact. Dude is sick. Her coach should have focused on her ground game. Her coach shouldn't have been saying she could beat Mayweather and giving her false hope. Focus on what you're good at. I agree, man. Ronda Rousey head was just like a helium balloon, man. And you know what? They paid the price for it because the game caught up with her. Her coach got away with her Olympic pedigree. And when Holly Holmes came in there, 18-time boxing world champion, guess what? Hey, she showed how boxing inserted into mixed martial arts can work tremendously. It can work beautifully. And Holly Holmes showed that. These days in MMA, you can't just be good at one thing. You have to be good at striking, wrestling, grappling, takedown defense, and everything. You ain't never lied, dog. You ain't never lied, man. You have to be good at everything, bro. And look, if you aren't good at everything, you have to at least be able to have that wrestling to your arsenal, that takedown defense, so you can at least keep it on your feet. Because just because somebody knows jiu-jitsu doesn't mean they're good at wrestling. You know what I'm saying? It depends on who you are, of course. But I'm saying just because they have jiu-jitsu skills, a jiu-jitsu prowess, doesn't mean they're a good wrestler. And in a lot of cases, if you're not a high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner, then a wrestler that's high level could take you down. Now, once again, wrestlers love to be on top. So just because a jiu-jitsu practitioner get taken down by a wrestler, it doesn't automatically say, oh, that wrestler is going to get subbed out. It doesn't mean that. It means that wrestler maybe, worked on takedowns a lot, get dominant top position, and is a force to be reckoned with. Raining down, ground and pound, punches, elbows, all that shit. Dundada in the building, salute, man. Good to see you in the house, man. You on the tail end of the live. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to bounce, but thanks for dropping in as always, man. Showing support. Shout out to the wrenches in the building. And people don't look at Ronda Rousey was basically the first female champion in the UFC. So these females she was beating weren't exactly the best. It's way different now. These women MMA fighters, of course, you seal that up tight. Of course, her competition was the rank competition suitable for her. And just think about it. The bantamweight division was the first division, right? And then you look at all the other divisions in there now. You have flyweight division. You have a strawweight division. And then whoever and whenever fights in the featherweight division. But let's be real. The bantamweight division, the flyweight division, and the strawweight division. The women in mixed martial arts still have a ways to go in growth, all right? I don't think we'll ever see. You know, it'll be tough though. It'll be tough. But I know the PFL has a 155-pound division. But it'll be tough to say that the UFC is going to have a 155-pound division, a lightweight division. It'll be tough, man. But the PFL has a 155-pound division. And you know who's the champion over there? Harris. She's the champion over there. If Ronda came to the UFC today, I don't think she could be champion, but you never know. You never know, but I don't think her skills, if she wasn't disciplined enough to work on her hands, if she wasn't disciplined enough to understand that she needs to work on her wrestling, you know what I'm saying? The women, their game has changed so much, man. In the bantamweight division, it's changed so much. She would have to be, she have to do a lot more mat time. She would have to pretty much improve her unpredictability, because Ronda Rousey was so predictable. She was so predictable. You knew she was going to try to work close range, close the door, work the clinch, lock up, take down, whether it be a hip throw or whatever she can get. And then from there, she was going to try to, she isolates her opponent, maybe with a headlock or whatever, and then work for the armbar. Or if she was able to do the GMP, she'll win by stoppage. But that shit changed, man. Strawweight division is the best, in my opinion, in women's MMA. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like the strawweight division. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the strawweight division. I like the competitors there. Scott, why can't you go in the freezer and get that, man? I'm on live right now. I said, why don't you go in the freezer and get the ice? You know it's down there, right? Let me do something right quick. Let me try to find this article one last time. I want to find the article that I read earlier today. Let me see if this is it. And those of you that tuned in tonight, outstanding input as always, solid, conducive, and it's always appreciated. This is not it. This shit is so old. This shit is so old. This is not the article I was looking for, man. Damn. You remember when Dana said that females will never, yeah, I remember that. Dana White said no females will ever fight in the UFC. Yep. I remember that. That's all I got, man. I gotta attend to some things, right? Those of you in the chat, as always, the live chat. Josh Talks UFC, salute. Don Dada, salute to you. Perky, salute. Greg's 1964. Who else was in here? El Foul player that dropped through. Salute, Free Trader. Miguel Sanchez. Everyone who was in the chat. King 369. Salute for dropping your comment. Don Dada. Salute. Everybody who was in the chat, man. I appreciate all the productive educational content. I know it was pretty much mixed martial arts, but That's what it is, man. Boxing, mixed martial arts, grappling, whatever you want to talk about, it's all good, man. It's always that type of live. That's what it is. And I don't have no problem talking about that. Well, I wish I could stay on here longer, but I can't. So y'all be safe out there, man. You know, even though they're giving, you know, the broadcast saying what? Oh, it's low cases. It's a very low chance that you would catch COVID-19 in the US. I will believe that shit, y'all. Y'all gotta stay safe, take care of yourself, drink OJ, make sure you keep your immune system up. All the foods, you know what I'm saying, that provides you protein, keep those white blood cells cooking. That's the only thing I can say, people. And wash your hands. Wash your hands. That's all I can say. So turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports.